life can be fucked sometimes, can't it? And sometimes it's not even things that we do or choices that we make that bring out consequences. It's just life. Life just sometimes seems to happen. I personally believe it happens because we kind of constantly manifesting. So paying attention to our thoughts is probably the first step to make sure life doesn't throw us many curveballs. But sometimes it can't be helped. And what do we do in those moments that life just gets too much, that we just like want to tap out, we want to give in, we're overwhelmed, we feel powerless? What do we do in those moments? Well, I've had quite a bit of an experience that I was actually able to put a lot of the stuff that I talk about into practice. So I thought that the end of 2023 leading into 2024 was going to be tough, mostly because of the loss of my brother and the family dynamics that arose from that. Had an incredible year in 2024. It was hard, it was tough, but we still managed to get a lot of achievements. Hit a lot of goals, a lot of milestones, a few challenges. So I was really looking forward to reaping those rewards in 2025, working towards my new changes and my new goals and my new adventure, I guess, for the next phase of my life. And looking forward to 2025. Started off the year off looking for a house to live. So here in Queensland, we have a housing crisis, and we struggled to find a house. We were very lucky at the last minute. We were given an apartment that we liked. It was one of our favorite ones. We got that apartment, and this was 2 days before we were supposed to move. So just at the last minute. Once we got that apartment, we put aside all the other houses that we had applied for and completely invested in this one. Just before it was about to go through, we had an issue. We were left with no choice but to move in while we put the application through. So the stresses involved there, obviously, as you can imagine, were really heightened. In that process, I've had damage to my teeth due to surgery and radiation, which has damaged the roots of my teeth at the skull base of the tooth. And they've been treated. And every few 3 to 4 years, I kind of have to get those things replaced, the cavities replaced. And I was in the process of doing that. So we're talking about 2 or 3 teeth at a time over 4 visits. In that process, we found that one of the roots of one of my teeth had a severe infection and needed to have surgery on. Being the beginning of the year, it's always a crazy time of year for us. And as luck would have it, there was more intervention by the universe. I was driving to work and always a lot of traffic. A lady trying to miss the traffic squeezed into my lane in front of me. She was forced to stop, as was I. I was at fault because I hit her from behind, which is usually the case here in Australia whenever you hit from behind. And her car literally had one little dent on it, and mine was completely wrecked. Completely wrecked. And this was not even going more than 40 kilometers an hour. And I just still to this day am amazed at the contrasting difference between her car and my car. My car was a total write-off. Luckily, my son has a car and lives nearby, and we were just sharing his car. The next day, I took his car to work, dropped it off at him. We went to gym together, and he went off home. And on the way, he gives me a ring, and guess what? He got rear-ended straight away the very next day. And the guy that rear-ended him also, unfortunately, did not have insurance at the time. So it's been a stressful process when you start looking at things. And the issues with the move, issues with the car, issues with getting to work, then obviously medical issues, financial issues, having to pay for everything. So it was a very overwhelming experience. I remember having had the accident one day on the Tuesday, and then on the Wednesday, my son ringing me and telling me he had just been in an accident and both our cars were written off. And I really tapped out that day. I said to my partner, that's it, I'm done for the day. I went for a walk. The process wasn't to escape, but rather to accept the reality of the situation I was in. On the Thursday, I found myself not wanting to get out of bed purely because I was afraid what was going to happen today. Was this going to be something else? What was the next thing that life had to throw at me? And now that I've been through it all, I've taken a step back and I've reflected. And a few things that I find quite interesting is we applied for many houses that we wanted and didn't seem like a very difficult application, which we didn't get. The one house that we straight away assumed we weren't going to get because it was really difficult, a prime location, a fantastic price, and the applicants were through the roof, was the one house that we got straight away. So for me, that's the universe working out for me, guiding me where I want to go. My car was old, was a nice little Peugeot convertible that I enjoy driving, but it was on its last legs. I had quite a bit of work still to do with it. I had quite a few expenses to invest in it. And if I had sold it, I probably would not get where I am today with the car that I was so lucky to have. The accident, the very first car that I went to go and see was from an amazing couple. I like to buy my car secondhand personally. And they had a really nice car, and the price was just insanely good. And everything just kind of flowed from one aspect to the next. And I now sit back and I reflect, and I think I'm in so much of a better position right now with my new vehicle than I was with my old one. So my appreciation is like next level. Uh, the longer I stayed in this house, I found myself going for a walk one day, looking down and saying to my partner, wow, that's a really nice apartment. And just to realize that that was my actual apartment. So life definitely has a way of working out for you rather than happening to you. And I think that is an aspect that we have often struggled with, especially when we are emotionally drained and strained, and it just doesn't seem like there's no escape. This time around, I developed a system where I remind myself of three things to help me in those moments. The first thing is accept the reality. That's it. Accept the reality. It is what it is. The more I fight against it, the more I want to escape it, the more constricted or claustrophobic I actually find myself feeling. So the reality is I was in an accident. The reality is my car was a write-off. The reality was I had to find alternative means of transport. And then all of a sudden we start thinking, okay, wow, but how are we going to do that? How am I going to buy another car? How am I going to find the money to handle what's going on now with the insurance and the claim while I without a vehicle and I need to get to work? And once I accept the reality of the situation, the very next thing is to realize you have everything you need for the very next step. You have everything you need for the next step. You may not have everything you need for the final result. And often we catch ourselves worrying about what we need for that outcome. But we're so many steps ahead. And then we focus on, I don't have this, I don't have that. And our brain goes into a mindset of lack rather than a mindset of abundance. And I mean, if I'm in the mindset of lack, the more I'm going to lose. So what I did is I sat back and thought, well, there's only so much I can control. And what can I control? And the things I could control would be search for a car, go see a car, order an Uber, uh, organize lifts with friends and clients. There were so many things that I could do at the time. And rather than focusing on what the outcome was going to be, just the next step is what took precedence. And realizing that we always have what it needs for that very next step, for that first step, if you want. Um, don't let your mind rush over to what you don't have for the step 8, 9, and 10. Those things will come when steps 8, 9, and 10 come. The other thing was to remind myself that this is happening for me and to put a conscious effort into looking at the alignment of what I often say I want to what the universe is doing, and showing appreciation that sometimes the universe takes things out of our control in order to move us to the next step because it's what we desire. It's the energy we've put out there. For me, I didn't really want a new car. I was quite happy with mine. I wanted to get mine sorted, but I was also struggling with the idea of investing in such an old car. And I procrastinated with that for a good 6 to 8 months. And I would say that my car was on its last legs. Fast forward to now, I can honestly tell you that Having had the accident and the brand new car, I'm definitely under budget if I had made the conscious decision to sell my car and buy the one that I have today. The universe kind of took that out of my hands, and all I had to do was just follow through with the process, right? That, I think, is also the trick, following through the process. Once I accepted the reality, then I had to calm my brain and realize that I had everything I needed for the very next step. So, big changes like this can be quite overwhelming, especially amongst other big changes. And looking back now, I definitely am in so much of a better place. And in just less than 8 weeks, my whole life's changed, from my house, my car, my work, my family dynamics, because obviously that also changes, as I mentioned. And those three things are pretty much what helped me, guys. The first one is accept the reality of the situation. It is what it is. We cannot escape it, no matter how much we dislike it. The only way we can is our attitude to it is controlling that. So, number one, accepting the situation that we're in. Number two is understanding and reminding ourselves that we have everything we need for that very first next step. Okay, it could probably be the first step or the second or third, but you will have everything you need for that next step. Don't get overwhelmed by step 9 and 10. We're not there yet. By the time we get there, I guarantee you will have what you have. And the third and final step is to take a breath, stop, bring yourself down to a place of calmness. Allow your brain to function correctly. When we are heightened, we're looking for the escape. We're in a bit of a panic mode of flight, and our brain is just going at 100 miles an hour, and then we're going to struggle to find the right solutions that best suit us. So take a breath, stop, and relax. Accept the situation I'm in. Find comfort in the fact that I have everything I need for the very next step. And before I take any action, just take a breath, calm my energy, and then put that step into action. And then before you know it, when you do that, we stay connected to our higher purpose. And what you'll realize is that what's happening to you is actually happening for you. And in many situations, it will probably get you to your goals or destination quicker than you realize. I hope these 3 points will help you, regardless of what situation you may find yourself in. If you enjoyed that episode, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. If you think someone might get something out of this that's going through something, by all means, please share this podcast with them. Like Steve Covey says, no situation it will ever be as bad as our negative response to it.